Yo, ladies and gentlemen, or I don't actually know how to introduce this podcast, but let's welcome Peter in Monterrey, Mexico, the oldest exchange student that ever lived.
Yes, probably, yes.
He's 33 years old from Denmark. He has a beard and sunglasses right now. I'm actually pretty glad that he has sunglasses because his eyes are making me nervous sometimes, so whew.
It's really intense up here, alone on the terrace.
Yeah. Peter, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself a little bit that our listeners can somehow imagine how you look like and what's all about you.
Very handsome man, of course. No, as Jovan said, 33 from Denmark, studying marine engineering technology management, doing my exchange semester here in Monterrey, where I got to meet Jovan's brother, who is also studying here, and that's how we kind of got introduced to each other. Done some traveling together, About me, Denmark, 10 years in the army, then started my studies, so I wanted to do a semester abroad, so I ended up here in Monterrey.
So, first, our travel together was amazing. Like, we've been to Guadalajara for 4 days. Was pretty fun. We had this kind of kitchen party conversation on the last day. So when every party, for example, has this one point where actually everybody's just going to the kitchen, even though this kitchen is small as fuck. And in our case, it was like just in front of the door. And we've been sitting there for 4 or 5 hours talking about life and whatever. It was pretty dope. And that was the first moment when I realized, holy fuck, this Peter is actually pretty interesting, even though that he's sometimes a little bit weird. But you know that I'm just kidding, or maybe not, but whatever. But the most interesting part of his last 12, 13 years, I guess, is the fact that he worked for the army for 10 years. And I guess that everybody would be a little bit more interested in that. How come? Like, why should I decide, like, with 18 or 19 or 20, I don't know, to go to the army and then stay there for 10 years? Can you explain that a little bit more?
I think I grew up in a small town in Denmark, 5,000 people. And around there was the two biggest military bases in the country. So I think that kind of affected me in my decision, because you're used to seeing it on a daily basis. And of course, like when you're a little kid, it's either policeman, fireman, military, all the standard. Astronaut, of course, not so much in Denmark. Our space program is a little behind still. But I think there was a lot of the influence. So I actually went to college just because then I had the opportunity to become an officer if I wanted that. So from I was very young, I was pretty sure that I was gonna go in the army and I was gonna stay there forever. Joined the army after college, and then I had a good friend from home who was in the military police, and it sounded pretty awesome what they were doing. So I kind of followed his path and then applied for that and got in, luckily. And then, the thing is, when you're in there, it's a really amazing, the community you have with all the other people and the colleagues, because everybody's, or most of them, are about your same age. And every half year, new people come. And they're coming from all of the country because they want to be there. And there's a selection of around 50%, or at least it used to be. So, people, they want to be there. And there's a point where they came exactly where they are. So the bond is really strong. And that kind of also makes you want to stay a little bit. And then, I started doing my whole education, and then I went 6 months to Afghanistan.
After the first 6 months, or when?
I started, so in Denmark you do 3.5 months of basic training, and then you can apply for sergeant school, military police, or become a non-enlisted, a normal soldier. And for me, I chose the military police, which is another 8 months of school, like a sergeant school. So you learn the military stuff and the police stuff. And then after that, you do 1 year of extra education. Mm-hmm. And then at that time, we were involved in Iraq, Kosovo and Afghanistan. So it was kind of natural that you had to choose where to go. And then we left Iraq, so there was only Afghanistan, Kosovo to left. And I chose my first deployment to be in Afghanistan.
And for how long have you been there?
In total, I think a little over a year doing this 10 years. But it's been on different occasions. So the first one was about 6 months, and then it was 4 months. And then I transferred to another unit within the military police doing close protection, like bodyguard. And we were gone for like between 2 to 4 weeks normally, with the generals, the prime or the ministers, and the royal family if they had some reason to go to the war zones. Then we do a collaboration with their bodyguards.
And so, who were the main persons who were protected, like at that time? So,
most
like kind of random.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of like. If I mentioned generals and ministers from Denmark, like nobody would have any idea who they are.
But like in general, like generals or ministers, right?
Yeah, general ministers mostly, and then like every once in a while, the royal family would go down to visit the troops, but that's more rare.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then like as I've said in the beginning, like the thing is that every time you think about you maybe want to do something else with your life, at some point I realized like I'm not gonna grow old in this line of work. I wanted to do something else. And then you have like the crisis that most people have in college, where they're doing some basic stuff, but they have no idea what they want to do for the rest of their life, because that's a pretty big question.
You're right. You're totally right. But still, when was the first time that you were questioning the thing that you're doing? Like, when were you thinking the first time about, should I stay there or not?
I think during my first deployment, we lost 6 guys, and about 30 people got like really bad injured. So that's injured where you lose an arm or you get like have some psychological issues. And like I saw the work that we did in the local community that made a difference. But in general, you felt like you were just like punching in a bag. And like thinking about, do I want to travel this far from home and risk my life or my legs for that concept that I don't really think works? That started, for me at least, to question the regular warfare we are doing. But then I ended up working more in the close protection, and that's kind of like a different feel. Because then you have some apparently important people who travel to these parts of the world, and your job is to protect them from harm. And that made a little more sense for me, because their words and their power is bigger than what mine was.
I get your point. Like, because they have a bigger influence.
Exactly. And it's like the things they go down there to, talk to the people in charge of whatever's going on in this country, both on the military and political side. So things change after they've been there.
Also, it really changed. So you were kind of satisfying as well that you were protecting somebody who apparently changed something in this society or region, or it felt more just, or more like it made more sense for me. I would say. But still, in the end, like I kind of realized that I was not gonna, I really didn't like the concept of staying there. And then I think it was hard when I saw, like, when you get deployed, everybody meets at some base, everybody in uniform, and everybody has their family with you. And you see like people who are like 45 years old saying goodbye to kids that are like 3 years old. And you have that risk of not coming home. And for the amount, like the output in the other end, I didn't feel that trade-off made sense for me. So when I was thinking more about, getting to a point where I wanted to start a family, I wouldn't put them in this situation or put myself in this situation. And that was like the start of my focus on, okay, I
I need to figure out what I want to do now.
Was it hard? Like when you came to the switching point, like from thinking about this and then like turning it into practice? Like how much time did you need for realizing this idea, like of quitting this job in the end?
Yeah, that took a while, because also, as I kind of stated before, like you are now in a situation where, for me, I was maybe 27, 28 years old, and now I needed to figure out what do I want to do with the rest of my life, like not the whole, but like career-wise, and yeah, that's always a big question. But of course, you have more experience like throughout life than a people or a person who is 18 in college and trying to figure out like, what is the right education for me? What do I want to spend my money on?
Sure.
But it was super hard. And like, it wasn't hard to leave the army per se, but it was hard to leave all the colleagues, because you really get to, like, you get close with people, and they are not your colleagues, they are your friends. Like, I still talk to many of them on a daily basis. So that differs a lot from working in a normal firm. That then it's more like, you don't know the inner thoughts of your colleagues, but here you are used to spending like, maybe 1, 2, 4 weeks every day, 24 hours a day together. So you talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So you really get to know people, and you're in a situation where you, like, people has to, maybe sacrifice or being willing to take that gamble with you, for you. So you get really close with people. So the thing was, it was harder like leaving them than leaving the army. And I actually ended up going back for a year after I started my studies.
Yeah.
Because I thought like I couldn't do it. The studies were too hard. It was too much for me. And then I was like, maybe this is all wrong. Maybe I should go back. And going back and staying there for, I think, a little over half a year, that really made me realize that it was the right decision and the first time to leave. So that was like the final push I needed.
So what did you study in the end?
I chose marine engineering and technology management, which is basically, for people outside of Denmark, it reminds a lot of mechanical engineering. Let's see where it takes me. I have this semester, and next semester is bachelor thesis, and then I need to go back in the real world again.
I mean, it's not like the most common thing to be 33 and just like study a bachelor. Was there a kind of, were there kind of obstacles in your life? Like during this study, was somebody, I mean, of course, I guess you're not the type of guy who's actually caring what anybody else is saying about you, but was there a lot of judgment, like in your case?
No, the thing is, this exact studies I'm doing right now, the oldest guy in the class was 41.
Okay, so you're
and the youngest
one of the youngest.
The youngest was 19. So it's a study that a lot of people choose if they are like working as a mechanic. And they're thinking, okay, I need something more in my life. Like, this is not challenging enough. Then a lot of people choose to look at marine engineering. And it's throughout time, it's normal that people are a trained electrician, a mechanic, or they have some other background, and then they top it up kind of with this education. So I actually I fit it pretty good in at my studies. Like, my student group, the youngest was now is 25, and the oldest one is 35. So it's different from like I think it would be a lot different if I'd chosen like a normal university degree, but not in the same in the like on my studies. But I moved to a different city to start studying the second time.
So you changed your complete environment in that case.
Yes, that was also something I realized, that
getting out of the comfort zone.
Exactly, because I was studying in a town north of where I was living when I was in the army, and I stayed there. I had a good apartment, but like I was still in the same environment. I was still mostly seeing all my friends from the army. And I figured I needed to like completely change the environment to get more into the studies, because it's when you're used to working 37 hours and then you have all your nights free, and then you start studying engineering, then you don't have your nights free because you're studying. Yeah, you know. So yeah, I moved to a different city, ending up living with a house with people. I think the youngest was 21 and the oldest was 23. And then there was me, and I was 31 at this time, or 30.
So not that old.
Not that old, not compared to now. Yeah, so that really, like, you saw a lot of things throughout there where you could really feel that, okay, I'm actually a lot older than these people. But on the other side, you really get, when you're in an environment, like the age thing, I think it's more, when you're young, you think about it more. Like when you get older, you start to realize that, you know, age is kind of a number, and where you are in your life and mentally, that's the people you're gonna like hang out with and spend time with. So yeah,
good one.
Yeah, but I get a lot of when people hear, like down here, like how old I am, like they don't believe me at first, because that's not possible, because I act the same as they do and everything else. Well, maybe I'm a little childish at some points, but you know, this growing up, it's a trap.
It is. Like, I mean, I'm just 25. Who am I to say that or to admit that? But I can't imagine. And I mean, of course, we had just a normal conversation right now. What is actually pretty common in our case. But on the other hand, we like to be childish, like as fuck, like just do foolish stuff all the time. And
yeah, but
I don't know what to add. Like, for
no,
real,
but,
like,
but
you're
still,
totally right.
but still the same for you. Like, you're gonna travel now, and I guess like a lot of people you're gonna meet as well is gonna be like the biggest segment is gonna be maybe like, you know, from 20 to 22. Like they're gonna travel before they start the uni education, and you're on the other side already, so you're also gonna be in a bit of a different area.
That's right, though.
And then you're gonna meet a lot of people who, like, that's gonna be super interesting, who has been doing something, had a career, and then they just like quit the whole thing and just sold the house and just gone traveling.
I mean, that's the thing. What actually everybody's doing, like questioning the meaning of something, of the meaning of doing something. And you did it in a case. You were questioning the meaning of your job, and in the end, it didn't make that much sense. Like,
yeah,
no offense, but it was just like
it changed for me.
It changed for you, and the risk was too high in a way as well. So you wanted something else. Like, was this an aspect to do something which makes you more aware of contributing to something, like of making the world a better world? I mean,
yeah,
apparently you made it as well, but like in another direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That's also one of the reasons why I chose this education. It's because there's a lot of people work in renewable energy, like solar cells or wind turbines. Or like new battery technology. This education is really like set up for that. And yeah, I kind of had like a feeling at some point where, and I'm gonna pat myself on the shoulder now, because I had like the feeling where I wanted to leave this world a little better than I received it. Because right now you're kind of seeing like people are starting to get forced to take a stand on the whole environment and how we treat the earth and what we're getting back. Where 5-10 years ago it was more something you could leave behind or leave for the politicians to, and then you're just like, fine, they'll do whatever is right. But now people are really getting into it, and I had the same feeling. Like I've been spending 10 years trying to better the life for people somewhere around the world, and I kind of didn't feel like the risk stood up against what I was doing. So now, instead of focusing on that, because that's like buried in crazy politics and a lot of people doing stuff behind closed doors that really makes you kind of think, that's what I'm going to say about that. So now I'll focus on, trying to make the world a little cleaner. And I think I can contribute to that factor, and I can more control it myself than before, when I was part of a big system and I was just told what to do.
Yeah, so you were not conscious about it, what you were actually doing. I mean, you were conscious in a way, but you were not questioning it a lot. And what I actually want to say is, if you're 100% conscious of what you're doing, you're more likely to make the world a better world, in my case, like in my opinion, because you're questioning a lot, and you're just
Yeah.
doing logical, rational stuff in the end as well. You're not that irrational anymore. And what I actually want to refer to is what I actually really, really admired Peter is the thing what he's doing with his friends. I guess the Peter is like 100% pure with himself. So it's like just the way he is. Like he's not acting or whatever. He's just always him. And everybody knows that a lot of people are not the way they should be, or they are
They're
not
trying
them.
to fit in.
Yeah, they try to fit in. And so he's like 100% aware of himself and his friends as well. Because there's this one funny story. Every year, so once a year, Peter and his friends are meeting for for a weekend, I guess, right?
Yeah, long weekend.
And then you're discussing which points.
Yeah, so this actually, I missed it this year. It was 2 weekends ago, and they went to they rented a small farm in Denmark on some island in the middle of nowhere. But the main concept is we are, I can't remember that. I think we're 9. It's a bit embarrassing, but I
Good friend.
yeah, I really seem into it now. But we all went to the same high school or college, I guess, would compare to international standard. And after a couple of years, we kind of missed each other a little bit, and we missed what we had in college, because it's kind of equivalent to what you have in the army. Like, it's a really close bond. So we started this club, which we call Club 13, because the old grading system from the old guys like me was a 13-point scale in Denmark. So we meet up every once a year, and it's mostly to see each other. So every other year we go somewhere interesting, a little more interesting, and then the second year we stay at home somewhere cheap to save money. But the main concept of the thing is, like, you are on the spotlight, and then you need to tell about your life. And this is like, you really tell everything about what's going on and every kind of problems you have. So it's like, 9-11 guys sitting around a table somewhere, and then one guy, he has to grade his life on this 13-point scale in different aspects. Business life and family life, sex life, and so you really get into like details about people's life, and everybody else has the right to ask into what he's talking about. So before you go on this trip, it really makes you reflect on where you are in life at this point and where you were compared to last year. And now we started collecting the grades, so we can kind of see the curves where it's going. But yeah, it's super interesting, because you have people and they're doing everything from lawyers to police officers to whatever, and it's normal that a couple of guys are crying while
That's
they do
so
this.
Astonishing, man, for real.
And this is 30-year-old guys sitting together, crying and comforting each other. But I really think it gives something to you as well after leaving this weekend. It's also like, we also have a day we go drinking, and it's just as it are like in the old days, and we talk about all the stories and what happened in college. But the main thing is, and we made like a whole rule set for this. Of course, the lawyer did. So there is like a strict procedure of how this goes, and when you're allowed to talk, how much time you have, but it's I don't think, like, when we started it, we didn't think about it this much, but the more I've been talking to people, the more I realize that this is maybe a little unique.
It is, definitely.
But it's I think it's really healthy, because it's kind of like free psychiatry. I forgot the English word.
Say it in Danish.
Psycholog, psychologist. Yeah, that was it.
Oh.
Because it really makes you think about your life situation, and a lot of times you can get the feeling that you feel like you're a little worse off than you actually are. So this is also a point where people are telling, like, you might think that is bad, but they can contribute with something else, or they have been in the same situation 2 years ago, 5 years ago, never talked about it, and they're saying, I was actually there, and what I did to get out of this, so it's also free advice.
It's like really kind of therapy as well, but therapy is such a bad word, a negative word. It's like
Yeah.
You're just exchanging
Yeah,
your
yeah,
updates,
yeah.
your life updates, and helping each other. So
Yeah.
something that normal friends should actually do, right?
Yeah.
But I guess when everybody is growing up, is getting an adult, having his own family, you're just not dealing that much with your
You start
personal
spending like less time on you as a person and more time as you as the part of the family. And I think this weekend, and this is like a fixed date every year, that it really takes people out of their current situation and make them, think about where they are as a person. And it's just getting better every year. Like last year, we drove to Berlin. So the thing is, like, there's two guys arranging it, and it goes on turn. So you don't know what the plan is until you, kind of figure out, like, we're going south. Okay, hopefully Germany. We won't have to drive all the way to Italy for a weekend. But we were in the car, and like in 2 hours, I think 3 out of 4 guys have talked about that they actually have been seeing a psychiatrist in the last 5 years.
Shit.
so it's starting to it's starting to speak up and or speed up, and people are a lot more relaxed about the whole concept now, because everybody's putting everything on the line, and I feel like that you get it back after this week. So it's only gonna be better from here.
Man, I'm definitely gonna try this with my friends when I come back, or maybe just online with them. I don't know, via Skype. But what I wanted to say, I mean, it's my first podcast, so please excuse me. I'm not like, if I don't have like a proper concept and following it, but still, it's gonna be good. I'm actually pretty satisfied with this conversation for now. What I wanted to say is, so you were reflecting your life and your friends as well, and I guess the only way to do something useful, like to yourself, to the world, to like your surroundings as well, is to reflect yourself. So in the end, you're just being aware of the things that are going good and the things that are going bad. So you're being aware of your strengths and weaknesses. And a lot of people who I got to know through studies or my former job, because I was working as a sales engineer, so I got a lot of customers, and you're meeting a bunch of new people and whatever. A lot of them are just not dealing with themselves, because I don't know. For me, for example, it was kind of natural thing. I was always like, today we are talking to each other. I know that in 5 or 6 hours, when I'm gonna go to the university for the football game, my brain is automatically gonna reflect the things what I was telling you. So I'm gonna think like, oh, that was good. I could have done this better. Oh man, this point of Peter was dope as well, and this and this and this. You're just doing it automatically. I don't know if everybody else is doing it automatically, but in my case, it just came up once. I don't know when, but it happened.
No. But that's the interesting thing about people, is that there's not two people built the same, and there's no manual for people. Like, even we're trying to do it with psychology and all those studies, and you can see how hard that is. So that's why people are interesting, because it's not a car, it's not a computer, it's not something you run diagnostic out and then I just need to change this part.
Exactly.
It's complex.
But in that case, for example, like especially when it comes to friends, the biggest power one has over another guy is a friend or a family member. So actually anybody who the person is trusting. So in that case, trust is the more or less the basic to fix a problem, because I mean, we're like a collectivistic human being, I would say. So we're always with somebody else, and of course, if you're dealing a life like with one person, like you, for example, like for 10 or 20 years, you're building up a trust, and this trust can be a basic thing for fixing a problem later. And I mean, I was just I was just repeating the sentence again, but whatever.
No, but it's true, and it's also like you meet people on different levels, and you form different bonds, because of course now I have this thing with one group of my friends, but I also have another group where we are like nowhere near this point, and maybe we'll never be. So it really differs, and it really takes everybody to be like on board to do this. Of course, there's the whole strength and weakness as well, and some people might see it as a weakness to open up in this way, And of course it is if you do it to people you don't trust. So I think me as a person, even though I'm part of this group of people where we're really open with each other, I'm very closed off with people I don't know that well. I'm really defensive about myself. So it really depends on the situation and how well you know people.
That's right. Man. I mean, so apart from this weekend once a year, how often are you in touch with these guys?
Yeah, that's funny because some of them I see really often, and other normally just see them this time of year, like once a year. But I'm also a little bit of the outsider because 3 of the guys who are part of this, I went to elementary school with, and they went to college a year before me because I did an extra year in elementary school.
All right.
So I was like a year under everybody else actually in this group. So everybody else, I think, is a little more in touch in general with each other than I am. But there's still a lot of people. But right now we are spread over the country. After people have finished school now, I think everybody except for me is done. Oh yeah, we're 2 guys who are still in school. He was also in the military, so he also.
What is his name? I'm just curious.
Jesper.
Okay. Shout out Jesper.
Finishing up as a police officer. Of course, the natural selection after the military police. But people are spread out over the country, so it's not as easy as it used to be. And the thing is, you realize the older you get, the more you need to plan. Because now people have a family and a job and fixed vacation, so you don't just meet up for something random anymore. It's just not possible. You can do that to 2 or 3 guys if you're lucky, but doing that 10 plus, no, doesn't exist.
Yeah, for sure. Like as soon as you have a responsibility over somebody else, like in that case,
exactly,
children.
Yeah, children, family, job.
24/7 work in that case. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, they are not gonna go on exchange in Monterey or go traveling for 2 years.
So why are you actually studying here? Like, so you always wanted to do an exchange semester, I guess, or like being abroad in another country? Or why are you doing this?
Yeah, I like traveling, and I like to see other community civilizations. Is probably a big word, but like countries and how they do stuff. Because I feel I've been, of course, spending time in the Middle East, but that was not really a functioning country. But I was also 4 months in Brussels working at the NATO headquarters. And when you spend, say, maybe more than 2-3 months at a place, you start to get a feel of how the community is working. And there's a lot of things back home where you don't really think about that could be an alternative to doing stuff the way it's done, because it works. But when you live in another environment, then all of a sudden you realize that, this is not the only way, the only right way to do this. So that was kind of one of the things I was hoping to get from this experience, was to figure out how the Mexican society is put together, to see if there's something I can take with me home. And I feel like you need to stay at one place for a longer time to get that insight, compared to, I also been backpacking around Asia, where there's so much stuff going on. You're constantly on the move that you don't really get into how the society is. And then, a lot of the people also kind of I'm the last one studying of a lot of my friends group. I use their insight as well. And a lot of them has been telling me that they regretted not going abroad, that they were more focused on getting the right courses for the work afterwards. And then when they finish, they realize that they have that course doesn't really matter, because the company is going to teach them whatever anyways. So I was also recommended from a lot of friends that just go and experience something else, and maybe do it a bit more for yourself as a person than for what you're studying.
So, and for how long are you here in Monterey?
In Monterey, I am leaving in start of December, and I arrived in start of August.
Start of August, so you're already here for man, almost 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Is there something like, or what was the first positive impression for you? What could you take back to Denmark when you come home?
I think some of I really like the openness of the people down here, people you don't meet and people you live around. Like we live in San Pedro, which is apparently like the richest neighborhood I think in Latin America.
Yep,
at least
what I heard about it as well.
Yeah, so of course this might be different from other places, but it's really friendly. It's really easy to talk to people and get help. Like where back home in Denmark, people are a lot more closed off, especially to foreigners. Yeah, and it's hard with Mexico because Mexico is so different, and there's like so much corruption in so many places down here compared to back home, and you really see that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen in the future with this country.
That's right. I mean, we've been into Guadalajara like 3 weeks ago, and when we compare Guadalajara to Monterrey, man, there's like a huge difference. Guadalajara is like more Mexican, and Monterrey is like more Americanized, Americanizado, and they have like this northern influence or western northern influence, and you feel that here. Of course,
Definitely.
there are some parts in Monterrey that are like in Guadalajara as well, but I would say the majority is.
You definitely feel like we're close to the border to the US here compared to when you go to south. You get the real feeling of Mexico, what you expect and what you see on movies. You need to go south to get that. But of course, this is the industrial center. But then again, yesterday they found like a.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should mention that, but yeah, some crazy stuff going on in.
Even here,
Monterrey, even in San Pedro,
the richest area in and it's still like pretty narco related everything.
But still, like, let's refer to the positive things. Of course, there's always negative stuff going on, but it's all about perspective. So I rather prefer to focus on these things. And what I wanted to mention when I arrived to Mexico, man, this hospitality or this how welcoming they are. I mean, my parents are from Serbia. They grew up in a small village, so they're welcoming as fuck. But these people here, holy man, they're like really welcoming. I never experienced something like that. And that's something that the Europeans definitely should adapt to. I mean, but it would be nice because I always want to come back to Europe. I mean, I feel really comfortable. I love Austria. I love Germany. I feel so good. Like I feel so comfortable in Germany. It doesn't matter where I am. I don't know why. Maybe it's like this intuition thing, whatever. But you definitely feel that people are looking at you like in a negative way, and they're not that likely to help you if you're a stranger or something. And here it's like the most common thing. If you look like a foreigner, like extranjero, they're always like offering you the help. I remember in Mexico City, I was there at the subway station or railway station, subway station, I guess, yeah. And there was just a old woman. I was asking her for the way, and she was like literally walking with me for 20 minutes to the right one. She was driving with me, even though she had to go to the complete other direction, just to be sure that I'm gonna arrive there. And then she like was driving the whole way back, and was like, whoa. I mean, of course, we cannot generalize that for the whole, like for the
but
for everybody Mexico. But that was kind of impressive, and I had like similar situations in other cities, and.
Yeah,
love
definitely.
That.
It's a different culture, and yeah, of course, on positive and negative way, and that's the interesting thing about traveling, that you get to experience that, and you take home what you need, and then you leave behind what you don't like. So hopefully you'll turn into a better person in the end.
Yeah, man. We've been talking about your past, about the present a little bit as well. So let's talk a little bit about your future. I mean, you're 33 and I'm 25, but I was still thinking the last couple of months about settling down anywhere, about family stuff, because I'm the youngest in my circle of friends. So some of them are like already engaged or even married or are living together, and I'm like, alone. Traveling, whatever. I mean, I'm really fine with that because I know that I'm not ready for these upcoming stages. But still, how is it in your case? Are you planning to have a family, or tell me?
Yeah. So yeah, the thing is, I've been having those feelings as well, like throughout the last couple of years. But I think like it started like now I can feel it that I kind of I'm getting to this place where I would like to start a family as well. And I think a lot of it is actually that my close friends are starting to have kids now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be like awesome as well for our kids to grow up together, to have that opportunity. Because of course, since we are awesome, then they have to be awesome as well. So it's only gonna be better, you know. But no, it's also that your friends, their priority changes now. Like one thing is when like I had friends who's been married and living at a house for years, and that's fine. Of course, it's a little different when they lived in the city, but now that they have kids, their whole world's changed and their whole focus changed, and then you feel more alone, I guess, throughout the week, because of course they are more focused on other stuff now, and I think that kind of I wouldn't say force, but it kind of accelerate your own thoughts towards starting a family as well. And of course you see them happy and blessed and everything, and you kind of want that for yourself. So it's basically that's one of the things as well. When I get back, I have to do my internship in the start of the next year. Here we're finishing 2019 soon, so 2020 is going to be the year where I finish my studies. So I need to figure out where I'm going to live, and then if I haven't found a girl, hopefully before that, then I'll find one after I figure out where I live. And then
So you don't mind living in another country? So you don't have to go back to Denmark, or
no?
What are your thoughts?
No, I don't have to. My ex-girlfriend was she lived in Dubai. She was born in Africa. Her dad was Pakistani and her mom was Indian.
Okay.
We met on
Nice
Bali.
mixture.
Yeah. But we were talking about moving to Australia when I finished these studies. So no, I don't particularly have, like, there's a lot of things I love about Denmark, and the older I get, I think the more I realize that I want to be close with my friends and my family also. But I would definitely be up for doing a couple of years somewhere else in the world to get that experience as well. And then when the kids start getting older, then hopefully going back to Denmark or northern country, which has the similar value as I'm used to and what I grew up in. But with my education, it's fairly easy to work abroad, and it's not a thing that like I would be open for that.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one. I mean, at this point, I would say that we're done. Thank you very much, Peter.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's it.
Yeah, good luck on your travels.